boat in trouble. This time, Nomura was able to wriggle off the hook with 1:30 to go, and now they hold a favored position.
We're not going to have it. They go to it, so we can like the morning of more than 7. That's the only good thing. Okay, plenty of vodka.
Game here is to get up to full speed. KR makes his move first, and he'll be going faster when the gun goes off.
Go down below the line. 20. 17. 14. 13. 4, 3, 2, 1, gun!
Another clean start and another good job by Dellenbaugh.
Nice job, David. 1992, that was that thing. In case you didn't know, I've made my career in racing sailboats. Let me tell you, it's not safe. It's not safe. If you think about it, it's profoundly unsafe. It's incredibly stupid. It's a game that's unsafe. It's risky, let's put it that way. It's a sport. And the elements of risk involved in going out on the water. Well, there's the water. Let's see. There's the ocean. You know, it's cruel mistress. I think is the phrase. Yeah. You know, it's not. It's not. You can. The water's over your head. You know, it's not. Don't fall off the boat. There's the old saying, you know, one hand for the boat and one for yourself. You've got to keep yourself safe somehow or another. And you also have to depend on all of the people around you keeping recognizing the risks we're all taking here in this particular endeavor. And so tonight I did what I do every Tuesday night. I ran a race for Etchel's Fleet 27 here in Casco Bay, and I take that seriously because what you want to do when you're putting on an event is you want to make it safe, you want to make it fair, you want to make sure that it's fun. And you can't make it fun without the other two. You can't set up a race course that's so skewed that one set of boats has a tremendous advantage over another set of boats. You need to have a square line. You need to set a line that allows everybody to get across the line, the starting line, with an equal opportunity to make the most out of the shifts that happen as you're going upwind and then as you turn the corner and come downwind. And you also have to be cognizant of the conditions that are around you and make sure that they're safe for the racers, for the people that are participating. Tonight we had 13 boats. That would be a total of there are 4 people on a boat, so we're trying to make it safe and fair and fun for what do we got here? 52 people. And so what do you do? if you're running an event like this? What do you do? What are you focused on? Well, you're focused on the on the class of boat, the wind strength. Are the boats going to be, can we all reasonably expect that the equipment is going to be up to the task? Um, and sometimes it's a bit of a judgment call, because most of the people that are doing this, right? It's like, this is a Tuesday night. This is bowling night for people, but the bowling balls are extremely expensive. It's like we're talking about, tens of thousands of dollars worth of your bowling ball, right? Because you don't want the equipment to explode. And and that's not safe. If the equipment explodes, you got four people on a boat that now are sort of uh, what's the phrase? In the piss. That's the phrase. I'm going in the piss. So anyway, tonight, yeah, was marginal. It was a marginal thing, but everybody wants to be there, and everybody wants to sail. Everybody wants to go out and test themselves and their equipment against other people with their equipment and make it all happen. But as race committee, as a person that's putting the thing on, right? It's kind of responsible for this whole thing. What if something goes wrong? And the that's kind of the bitch of being RC, being principal race officer. Uh, well, Robin, it wasn't dark, right? We raced from like 6 o'clock in the afternoon until maybe 7:30. What an hour before sunset. People aren't racing in the dark. But yes, overnight racing is a completely different animal. It's a completely different animal, and it's so much fun. It's so great. But again, what I'm trying to focus on tonight is safety, and how safety makes things fun. And taking safety seriously makes things fun. So tonight we had 13 boats. Um, Breeze was um, steady 15 knots or so. But here's what happens. Here's what happened. We set up a line, set up a starting line. It was a square line. Everybody had an opportunity to get across the line. People were crowding in. Everybody had a fair chance to get across the line and get a good start and go and go and do their thing. Well, in the first upwind leg, it was the breeze built a little bit. And it was kind of marginal. Now I've raced Etchels myself. I've raced these boats myself. I'm familiar with the way they behave, and there's a point at which you cannot depower the boat enough to make it manageable, and that point is at about 22 knots, 22, 23 knots, or anything over that you wind up in a situation where it doesn't matter how good you are. The equipment just isn't up to. You can't depower the boat enough to be able to make it manageable. But a lot of the people, especially new people who are new to the fleet, aren't familiar with these boats, don't really quite understand that. So what they're looking for is let's go, let's race, let's go. It's we can. This is fun, and it is fun. It is fun. Uh, uh, Living on the edge, right? It is fun because it's just one of these things, like kind of living on the edge. Because when you're in the moment of competition, you're not you're just sort of, you think it's all going to work. Well, tonight, for one boat in particular, it didn't work. It had an equipment failure coming down. I won't go into, you can, y'all ask me questions about sailboat racing. I'm happy to respond to any of them. um, but everybody made it all the way upwind safely. Everything was good, but the breeze built on the downwind leg, and coming back down to a turning mark, where that basically the way it works is you go upwind, you round a mark, which we call the weather mark, and then you sail downwind. You put up those big colorful sails that what are those things? They look like parachutes, and yeah, they are. They basically, they call them chutes, and for that reason. They're big balloony things, and there's a trick to doing all that shit. But anyway, when you're going upwind, most of the force, the wind force, is lateral, right on the sail plan. Okay, the wind is, you can't sail if you turn the boat directly into the wind. You're just, the sails are like flags, right? They're just going back and forth like this. The way the way the way sailboats work is you've got a keel, right? It stops the boat from going sideways or spinning. The force of the wind isn't going to spin the boat all the way around, so that you're only just going with the wind. Okay, that's why sail in space. Um, there's lateral resistance provided by the keel, and uh, and there's there's the force on the sail plan. So the force on the sail plan going upwind is mostly lateral. It's trying to push the boat sideways and trying to turn it around. And the thing that's resisting it is the keel. It's in the water. Going downwind, on the other hand, it's all about the barn door, right? You let your sails out because you're going with the wind. The wind is carrying you. You're just going, right? And so all of the force on the mast on the boat is forward. It's pushing the mast forward, and you have a stay on the back of the boat, or a mast that's strong enough to resist the wind kicking your mast over. Well, one of our boats this evening, unfortunately, let the backstay off a wee bit too much, and the mast went ass over decal, went right over the bow, snapped itself off, and all of a sudden, I'm looking up the race course, and I'm looking and seeing, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. One of our 13 no longer has a mast. Okay? And meanwhile, people are coming into the Lord Mark, right by me. And we have a chase boat out there, right? We have a chase boat out there, and it's blowing pretty good. It's gotten to that 23 knot threshold where things can go horribly wrong. And obviously, for those guys, things went horribly wrong. They lost their mast. Fortunately, I'm looking up, and when I didn't see the mast go down, but I did see, like, that boat don't look like it ought to. Geez, them crow, what happened? And them guys is kind of, them guys is kind of in deep kimchi, and they was in deep kimchi. So I called our chase boat and I said, "Hey, listen, go over and check those guys out. We give them whatever assistance they need." Fortunately, the two people on our chase boat, one of them actually is part of the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and and was just so level-headed, and was, like, radioed in. Yep, all four crew members are fine. No injuries, no nothing. We're good. We're just putting stuff together. But meanwhile, there are all these other boats coming in, and they're coming into the Lord Mark. And I'm sitting there saying, well, okay, I could shorten the course and finish the race here. And there are certain procedures that you have to go through to do that. But if I had if I had decided to uh, finish the race, that would mean that I would have to remain at anchor until all of the boats had finished. Meanwhile, I don't have another boat available to me to make sure that other boats who are all sailing in similar conditions, right, have someone keeping an eye on them to uh, assist in case something goes pear shaped. So what did I do? I abandoned the race. Now let me tell you something that it is difficult to abandon a race because the competitors want to keep racing. Even people when they're in the midst of a, hey, this is fun, I'm having a good time. What the hell? I'm just having a good time. It's all about me, right? I'm just having a good time. I kind of sort of had to think about, well, you may be having a good time, but you know what? There are four people that are having an extremely bad time right at the moment because they're just sitting dead in the water, right? No, it's no, it's not, the boat's not floating out of control. It's the boat's floating without any means of stuff. Yeah, they are kind of out of control, but there's always certainly some control. But the point is, it it, it feels like you got to make a call that's going to be as true to the general safety as is possible. And in this circumstances was like, I'm not going to shorten the course because that means I have to remain an anchor, and I can't do anything. So I abandoned the race and said, everybody go home. We'll try again next week. And so uh, the fleet did say, okay, that's enough for tonight. Enough for tonight. And so we weighed anchor on the signal boat, the race committee boat, and went to check in on our safety boat and the boat that had the mast fall down. The boat that was dismasted, made sure they were okay. We went and picked up all of the little silly marks that everybody has to go around, uh, and went back to the club, had hot dogs, had a drinky poo. And it's, the thing is that I was half expecting at least one person to scream and shout, "Why'd you abandon the race?" It's like, and I felt like, oh, geez, I have to, I'm going to have to explain why. But as it turned out, everybody sort of thanked me. I wish, you know, that it, which doesn't surprise me, because in the community of sailors, in the community of in the sailing community, where we all recognize what a stupid fucking game we're playing here. It's like, it's risky as hell. Bad things can happen. Really bad things can happen. And really bad things do happen. But we play this game partially because there is risk involved. It's kind of one of those. You call it a kink if you like, but there is an element of responsibility, or there's an element of knowing that you're going into this thing with potentially uh, fatal consequences, but you're still willing to play the game. But as a part of playing the game, there is the responsibility. The first rule is rendering assistance. But the paramount rule of the sea, of maritime law, is rendering assistance. Any seaman in trouble, you help them, which is why it was so appalling when we saw our government go and disable a vessel and then go and kill the people. That's such a fucking violation of the law of the sea. It's a violation. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. It's very, very difficult. It's impossible to explain how how absolutely helpless you feel. When you feel absolutely helpless when you're disabled at sea. And yet, what you need to do is not surrender to that feeling of helplessness. It's just like, okay, this is a situation. It's a bad situation. I mean, that feels like a detour in what I'm talking about here. But And yeah, I hope you're smelling what I'm stepping in here. People need to be responsible. You're going to engage in risky behavior. You put gateways and guidelines around it. You know, recognize the risks, recognize the stuff, put gateways and stuff. But that takes community. That takes an agreement that if you see someone in peril, you help them. Nobody in the fleet said, "Geez, I guess so and so maybe their boat wasn't really prepared. Oh, gee, that's too bad. Maybe it's their fault." It don't fucking matter. You lose your goddamn mast. The first concern is, you okay? Everybody good? You rally around. What matters first is safety. Exactly right. And what matters first is there's concern for your own safety, but also concern for the safety of others. And we're part of a community. We're all doing this stuff. We all need to be concerned for everyone's safety. We don't exactly playing the blame game don't help anyone. Absolutely doesn't. It's like, okay, well, you shouldn't have been out here. Your boat wasn't prepared. Blah blah blah. Fuck you. Right. You know what that's called? That's called being an asshole. You know, you don't need. We don't need a whole bunch of people. We don't need a whole bunch of people walking around saying, at the, with a whole bunch of Schadenfreude. Ah, gee, too bad for them. Let's go to the bar. What? No, that's not how that shit works. I mean, people in the fleet were radioing me. It's like, do you see this? Yes, we do. We've got our chase boat over, and we're aware of the situation. As far as we know, things are going good. We've been in the race for just that reason, because we want to be absolutely fucking positive that we're going to get everyone to shore, and hopefully, all of their boats ashore. We're going to make sure everything's safe, everything's good, because we want to be out here next week, and we want to be able to have a good time next week, even though we know this is an incredibly stupid thing to be doing. So, think about that shit. Think about that shit a little bit. Uh, and some of you may, some of you may find some resonance in some of the bullshit that's been going on in these spaces lately. But god damn it, there's there's no reason to. Things don't get better until people realize that the way we make things safer for all of us is to be concerned, right? Concerned about, let's make it safe, fair, and fun. I've said, any all have seen me talking on the channel about sailing and sailboat racing. It's the most zen thing you can possibly do. You just have to deal with just the craziest shit, and you have to do it in the moment, and it's really terrifying and relaxing at the same time, kind of like life. So anyway, have a terrifying but relaxing life, everybody. And thanks for coming over. And I ain't gonna go on. Ain't gonna go on too much longer. But I love you all. Thanks for those of you who stopped by and you know keep it real. We'll see you around the place. Now I gotta hit that end stream button and go.